Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. I am the Irish guy, and Roy Keane is about to be appointed boss of Sunderland. I'm sorry, what? Is this 2006? I mean, when I switch on the radio, are my ears gonna be infected with hearing sexy back 7 times a day? I mean, is every second conversation with a schoolmate punctuated with an annoying Borat quote?
Oh yes, very nice!
Christ above, that was a rough year. I mean, are people still trying to work out how the fat guy isn't losing any weight on Lost? But no, Sunderland. After getting smacked 6-0 by Fogton FC, the fans weren't very happy.
I think we played better with David Moyes.
Yeah, and right now the club are offering the job to a man who hasn't managed in 11 years. On the face of it, that's like asking Conor McGregor to fix your toilet. Yeah, I mean, he knew how to do that in 2007, but ask him to do it now, and you'll probably be wiping soggy chicken katsu out of your bathroom mat for weeks. To put it in context, in Keane's last ever game in management, he was watching a midfield battle between Jack Colback and a teenage Aaron Ramsey on loan at Nottingham Forest, with his knee cartilage still looking like a banana smoothie. But I mean, lads, Matt Cardle was #1 in the charts and aiming to crack America. I mean, now I'm pretty sure he lives in a 2-bedroom flat above a sandwich shop in Hull. But yeah, the point is that it's been a while since Keane was in the dugout. But this is a message to all football chairmen who've existed since the year 2011. You are an utter disgrace. Roy Keane has been blacklisted from football. And why? Can someone tell me why? What, because Gabriel Bonlor said that Roy was
too mean at Villa Park?
What? The same guy who, while captain of Aston Villa, was literally sent to fat camp. We've got this guy squatting in a sweaty TalkSport studio and complaining.
Oh, Keane needed to realise that we just simply weren't as good as his Man United teammates.
Again, such a limp excuse.
Oh, my name's not Wayne Rooney, so I don't need to improve.
Okay, then I guess that means you do have permission to drown your tonsils in popcorn and donuts. I mean, instead of just jumping on a treadmill, instead, just wake up each morning to eat cheeseburgers in the bath.
Gabriel Bonlor claims Sunderland target Roy Keane was disrespectful at Aston Villa.
Disrespectful. Bullying. Right, okay. Well, Keane finally gave up on that Villa team when he quit as assistant manager in November 2014, deciding that he'd had enough. And in the following season, oh, look at that! Aston Villa finished bottom of the league with just 3 wins all season. Maybe, just maybe Keane could see that the Villa standards were actually a complete chunk of panda snot. Are we really taking seriously the opinions of a footballer who was forced to retire at age 32? Somebody who looks like he used to drink pizza through a straw. But I'm gonna say this, football has been an utter disgrace in their treatment of Roy Keane the manager. I mean, people like to paint this picture of Keane as being an out-of-touch caveman. I'm sorry, what? The man has had 2 management jobs in his life. One where he took a team bottom of the championship into the Premier League and kept them there, despite having a bloated rubber duck like Paul McShane in defence. But he quit in 2008, jumped back into management with Ipswich Town in the championship, and yeah, that was another disaster. He wanted promotion, wound up finishing 15th in the league, and was sacked in 2011. But so what? He had one fantastic job and one terrible one, so why is he just stopped being offered gigs? What, is it because he nastily stared at a journalist for not turning off his phone? Has that paralysed the sensitive chairman across the country with fear? It's taken a 25-year-old boy at Sunderland to actually try and offer him a half-decent job. Shame on the rest of you! Why has Keane been blacklisted for so long? It's almost as if the tale of Roy Keane is just some horror story told in boardrooms. What, do you really think he's just some uncontrollable beast who's gonna blind someone in the eye with a fork if his coffee is a little burnt? Come on, this is a myth. It's a ghost story. Keane has fell out with 2 chairmen in his life. And guess what? Both men wound up dragging 2 massive clubs into the League One abyss. So maybe, just maybe, Roy was onto something when he fell out with Ellis Short in 2008, and then Marcus Evans in 2011. Maybe he could actually spell that they had the ambitions of a teapot. I mean, honestly, if you don't believe me, ask either Sunderland or Ipswich fans. They would happily stuff both businessmen in a wheelbarrow and chuck it off a volcano in Brazil. Keane is not this erratic madman who bites the heads off kittens in his sleep. You seem to think because of one assault on Erling Haaland's dad that he's just this lunatic who wails at bus stops looking to bite off some old woman's ear. That he waits outside taxi ranks armed with nothing more than a machete and a pint of his own blood. Apparently Roy Keane is football's answer to Jack the Ripper. Just some strange boogeyman hiding in the closet ready to smash out your teeth with a hammer. No, again, stop. Please stop this madness. Last year, he was offered the chance to coach Azerbaijan. I'm sorry, no, this is Roy Keane. You might as well offer him a cleaning job in a 2-star hotel in Bangkok. I mean, in 2012, he was offered a £4.5 million deal to coach Kasımpaşa in Turkey. What, really? Is he really going to relocate his family to Istanbul? I mean, can you imagine Roy Keane walking his dog through a Turkish graveyard? And this man who's admitted he never settled at Ipswich because their shirt colour was blue you know, the colour of his enemies, like Rangers and Man City. So do you really think that sort of pettiness wouldn't dig away at him like a drill in the back of his skull, forever being forced to live in a city synonymous with that Liverpool Champions League final win? He would probably wake up every morning, think of Stevie G, and immediately feel like getting sick on the floor. I mean, apparently he wanted the Blackburn job, going head to head with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Alan Shearer off the telly, and they instead give the job to Henning Berg. You know, someone with the tactics of a meatball sub. Yes, I know he was offered the Celtic job in 2014, but look at this.
Roy Keane reveals he turned down managing Celtic in the summer because the club failed to make him feel wanted.
Failed to make him feel wanted. Why? Why has football turned its back on Roy Keane? This guy, he's been begging for a chance for years. And 5 years ago, apparently his prayers were answered when he was offered the chance to manage Israel. I'm sorry, no, this is Roy Keane. Why is he getting the same job offers as a nearly 80-year-old Harry Redknapp? I mean, can anyone imagine a gruff, bearded man from Cork coaching in Jerusalem? They all say that football management has apparently moved on from the days of aggressive managers, right? I'm sorry, no, that's nonsense. I'm sorry, look around you. I mean, do you think Chris Wilder is all cuddles and toys? I mean, when he dragged Sheffield United up 2 divisions, do you think he was making his players watch Disney Snow White on the bus? Do you think he spent his free time sending gifs of SpongeBob to his players' WhatsApp group? Again, no. He looks like the type of old school coach who, if it merited it, would have absolutely no problem with stabbing your tongue with a pencil. Honestly, I would be less terrified of sharing a small elevator with Deontay Wilder than Chris. I mean, yes, Deontay packs power, but honestly, Chris Wilder just reminds me of football's answer to Joe Pesci. I mean, stand in front of him in a Cuba Costa coffee and try and reach for the last blueberry muffin, and rest assured, he looks like the type who'd probably slice off your nostril with a fork, just to show who's boss. People have an idea of this modern coach. I mean, look at Graham Potter, the flavour of the month. I mean, yeah, he looks like someone who probably tucks in his players at night. But honestly, on the eve of a big match, he probably sneaks into Lewis Dunk's room to read him 3 chapters of Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. I mean, if Tarek Lamptey comes to him with a knee injury, Potter will probably prescribe a 3-day vacation in Disneyland. I mean, Roy Keane would respond to that by screaming at you until you're blue in the face, just as Carrie Arthur and John Walters. But not a Potter. Oh, he'll probably just send you to the top of Space Mountain. No better way to get rid of a swollen kneecap than spending 20 minutes on the goddamn teacups, right? But I'm sorry, in the doldrums of League One, I would prefer the management style of Brian Clough. You know, a man who motivated Keane at Nottingham Forest by punching him square in the face. I would prefer that roughhousing mentality than, I don't know, someone like Steve Bruce, who again just seems like a cross between Louis Walsh and Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, in his first day at West Brom, this fella is probably gonna wear an apron and start baking cookies for the lads, before maybe feeding Robert Snodgrass 3 pints of breast milk in the corner. I don't know. But lads, Sunderland have fallen off a cliff. When Keane was at the club, there was ambition. He had created ambition. I mean, look at the centre forwards he tried to sign. Not only did he bring in a Champions League winner like Djibril Cissé, but the guy spent the entire summer of 2007 begging the Egyptian king like Mido, oh yeah, and Diego Forlan, you know, the world-class superstar. He had injected ambition amongst the fan base. But fast forward to the modern day and let's take a look at the fans' ambition now.
Chris, Jermaine Defoe in the back. Jermaine Defoe is in the back. Here he is. Right. We have a comment. Can we just, Jermaine, you glad to be coming?
What do you think?
Oh, it's Jermaine Defoe's in the back. There he is. We're live on SCFC Fan TV. Jermaine Defoe, see you, lads. See you. There you go. So bad, everyone.
See you soon.
There you go. Oh!
He turns 40 this year. Yeah, Sunderland fans have repeatedly had their hopes drowned in a fat septic tank to the point where they're now almost having parties in the street about re-signing a 39-year-old man. I know Defoe has a special connection to the area, but lads, Roy Keane tried to sign Defoe for Sunderland 15 years ago. He was on the Shopee list in 2007. They are losing their nut to this. To put it in context, if Defoe was a woman, he would now be too old to have a baby. You have essentially signed a TalkSport pundit. Under Keane, you were fighting off Man City to buy Cissé. Now you're winning a transfer race against Charlton and Oxford. Christ above. By the way, quick segue. It's a bit funny. I started this channel in Sunderland 5 years ago. I was the only one running around the streets with a camera, interviewing depressed fans watching their club crumble like a stale shepherd's pie. But now this city is just littered with everyone holding a camera.
Jermaine Defoe has returned to the club.
Aye.
Fans' favourite. Are you excited about that?
Well, I've seen him score some goals over there. I was over there when he put that one on against the Mags.
Ken, yeah, he's got to go in the morning because of that.
Not because of that, because he's got no plan B.
Does that make me a trendsetter? In Sunderland. But lads, when Roy Keane first stepped into the hole of despair to coach Sunderland in 2006, they were staring headfirst towards relegation to League One. Crazy enough, nobody wanted that job. Any half-decent coach with a shred of dignity would rather have chewed toast out of a hippo's arse crack than risk their career by associating themselves with this car crash. Don't underestimate just how ugly the club was. There was just a culture of losing. In their last 2 Premier League seasons, they had lost 56 times. Over 2 top-flight seasons, a combined 7 wins and 44 points from 2 seasons. And now they just lost their first 4 games of the championship. It was utter wet garbage. Honestly, you couldn't even have convinced the goddamn tea lady to take charge of a match. And yet, when Keane left the club just 2 years later, suddenly this happens.
Quinn prepared a shortlist as 33 applied to replace Keane.
Yeah, suddenly Keane had left this club in such a healthy state that they're now interesting the likes of Dick Advocaat and Sven-Göran Eriksson. I mean, yeah, I know, the younger generation probably just think of these men as decomposing human skeletons with the bladder control of a broken sink. I mean, honestly, nowadays, I know that Sven looks like a bald Britney Spears, but back in 2006, he was a ladies' man, and crucially, England manager. Lads, in 2 years, Keane turned this mess into a club so attractive that it made the actual England manager want the job. That is the equivalent of, by 2024, Gareth Southgate suddenly wants to manage Barnsley. What a makeover this was. That kind of shows he left it in a good spot. Under Roy Keane, Sunderland finally had ambition. I mean, yeah, I know he mostly filled the team with players who were either Irish or Manchester United rejects, but he did try to sign Leighton Baines from Wigan, and there's a guy who promoted Jordan Henderson from the Sunderland kids. You know, someone who's gone on to be a Champions League winning captain. Clearly he has an eye for a player. Although, to be fair, during the summer of 2008, I'm not sure whether Keane was suffering a permanent migraine in his skull, because he's a man who clearly detests the modern day flash footballer, right? So, does somebody want to explain why this man agreed to sign Djibril Cissé, Pascal Chimbonda, El Hadj Diouf, and Anton Ferdinand in the same window? Suddenly, overnight, the club car park was filled with luxury Lambos. The canteen probably stunk of £25,000 cologne, with the change room lockers now overflowing with designer shoes. I'm sorry, but Roy Keane seems like the guy who gets easily angered by the Teletubbies. And yeah, here he was signing a footballer who would later dress up in a Halloween costume made out of chocolate. I mean, Roy Keane used to see this man in the showers, a cross between Michael Schofield and Usher. Honestly, this made no sense. It was like seeing a gruff, serious army general queuing up to buy concert tickets to see JLS. But the whole thing is unfair. Look at Steve Bruce, another former Manchester United hero who gets offered a new job every 3 months. This man has been sacked about 7 times, and yet he's always offered a new job. In the 2 seasons when he went head to head with Roy Keane and management, the 2 men were first separated by 2 points in the table, and then 1 point. 2 identical jobs, and yet one spends the next decade being passed around about 7 different clubs and being interviewed for the goddamn England job, and the other one refused even an interview at the likes of Stoke or Hibs. And why? Someone tell me what? How is that fair? I mean, look at his former Manchester United teammates. Gary Neville got a job at Valencia, and Phil Neville managed his country. Based on what? Steven Gerrard was given his big break at a European giant like Rangers. That was his first job. If Roy Keane had been the England captain, instead of hailing from Cove Ramblers, you know, from the same muddy town as Sean O'Halpine and Graham Norton, then maybe he would be offered the big jobs. I mean, come on, Scott Parker was given the best job in the championship last summer, based on, what, 2 relegations with Fulham? It's a joke. Roy Keane is a man who's been sacked once by a basket case like Ipswich Town. I mean, the other candidates for the Sunderland job right now are what? Grant McCann and Neil Warnock. Okay, one of them is a guy who knows what it feels like to lose 8-0 to Wigan, and I'm sorry, Neil Warnock, a guy who flirts with retirement every 20 minutes. I mean, who else? Jonathan Woodgate. Not only does he have the tactics of a mashed potato, but he's a former Newcastle centre half. I mean, I know he'd be marketed in the media as a former Real Madrid Galactico who used to feed Ronaldo ice cream in the bath, but no, let's be realistic. He's a former Stoke centre half, about as fashionable as chewed up bubble gum. Gus Poyet was also linked with a return to the Stadium of Light, but 2 days ago he just became the manager of Greece, so that's not happening. I'm sorry, but Keane, yes, he's 50, but after a decade of being out of the dugout and now being reduced to doing carpool karaoke with Micah Richards, with his daughter controlling his Instagram, being forced to do media dog walks with Gary Neville, and arguing with drunken fans over how many shirts to sign, then trust me, he is fresher than a daisy for a management gig. He's going to come in with new ideas, say it how it is, and honestly, he'll add a star quality to Sunderland. This is a brilliant move. Keane will get the squad into the Championship, maybe even going up as League One champions. I mean, don't you tell me that Roy Keane is going to be scared of trying to chase Rotherham. I mean, even if they do wind up in the playoffs, a serial champion like Keane is not going to be scared of Wycombe Wanderers, Oxford and MK Dons, a club formed out of Wimbledon's armpit. Trust me lads, Roy Keane to Sunderland, genius. By the way lads, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments below, is Roy Keane to Sunderland a good move? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.